I called my parents urgently, and when they arrived, we sat down to dinner. With shaking hands, I spoke softly. My daughter has cancer. I need your help. Whatever you can contribute would be so grateful. My mother narrowed her eyes. Oh, so that's why you called us. Sorry, we don't have anything to spare. My sister tossed her napkin and scoffed. I'm finished. Shall we go now? My voice trembled as I pleaded. Please, just something. My father slammed his fist on the table. That's enough. And then I discovered the truth. They were secretly paying for my sister's kid's private school while my daughter was dying. Weeks later, she didn't make it. Tonight, I looked them dead in the eyes and said everything, and the table exploded. I went through hell, but maybe what I faced can save you. So if you're wondering how it all started, let's rewind.
The diagnosis came on a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary day that turns extraordinary in the worst possible way. Megan, my 8-year-old daughter, had been complaining about headaches for weeks. Nothing serious, I thought. Maybe too much screen time or needing glasses. Dr. Larson's face was grave as he studied the scans. I'm afraid we found something concerning. His words blurred. Medulloblastoma, aggressive, treatment options, survival rates, financial considerations. But she has health insurance through you, right, Mrs. Bennett? He asked. I do, I whispered, but it only covers about 60%, and the deductible is huge. The social worker can help explore assistance programs, he said gently. You should also consider reaching out to family. Family. The word stung. My parents, Walter and Diane Crawford, had never supported me. They hated my divorce from Richard 3 years earlier. My decision to keep my married name, Bennett, only widened the rift. You're breaking apart a perfectly good family, Mom had said, ignoring Richard's affairs, gambling, and hidden debts. My younger sister, Amanda Crawford Thompson, had always been the favorite. She married a successful attorney, Bradley Thompson, and gave them 2 perfect children, Jackson and Emily, who attended prestigious private schools. Amanda played the beautiful daughter, while I was always the disappointment. But this wasn't about me. This was about Megan, my brave girl who loved unicorns and dreamed of becoming a marine biologist. So, I called them. Mom, Dad, I need to see you both. It's important. Can you come for dinner tomorrow? Amanda and Bradley too, if they can. My mother's suspicion was obvious. What's this about, Jennifer? I'll explain when you're here, please. After a pause, she agreed. Fine. We'll be there at 7. I spent the next day cleaning my modest apartment, preparing a meal I could barely afford, and rehearsing what I would say. Megan helped set the table, unaware of the real reason. Should I show Grandma my science project? She asked with bright eyes. Of course, sweetie, I said, smoothing her hair. Soon, it would all fall out. I ducked into the bathroom to cry for exactly 2 minutes before returning to the kitchen. They arrived at 7 sharp. My father in a tailored suit, my mother in pearls, Amanda and Bradley close behind. Grandma, Grandpa. Megan rushed to hug them. They accepted stiffly, Dad patting her head, Mom careful not to wrinkle her blouse. Dinner began pleasantly enough. Weather, neighborhood gossip, a new restaurant. Megan chatted about school, blissfully unaware of the tension. May I be excused? She asked after dessert. I want to get my project. Of course, honey, I said, grateful for the moment alone. As soon as she left, Mom's facade dropped. All right, Jennifer. Why did you really ask us here? Is this about money? My hand shook. Yes, but not how you think. Dad's eyes darkened. If this is about alimony, we've told you. It's not the divorce, I interrupted. It's Megan. She has cancer, a brain tumor, silence. The doctors say it's aggressive, but treatable, I explained. She has a good chance. But treatment is expensive. Insurance doesn't cover it all. I need your help. Whatever you can contribute, it could make the difference. Mom's face hardened. Oh, so that's why you called us. Sorry, we don't have anything to spare. The words hit me like a blow. What? We're on a fixed income now, she lied smoothly. I turned to Amanda. Please. She tossed her napkin. I'm finished. Shall we go now? Bradley at least looked guilty. I'm sorry, Jennifer. Our finances are tied up. It's not a good time, Dad finally spoke. How much are we talking? Hope flickered. The gap is about $250,000. I'm not asking for all of it, just... His fist slammed on the table. That's enough. Dad, this is cancer, I cried. If you hadn't divorced Richard, you'd have better insurance, Mom snapped. Your choices have consequences. Please, just something. Anything, I whispered. Megan's footsteps broke the silence. She appeared clutching her project. Look what I made, she announced. No one answered. Mom stood. We should be going. It's late. But don't you want to see my project? Megan asked, smile faltering. Perhaps another time, dear, Mom said. They gathered their things and left. The door clicked shut. Did I do something wrong? Megan whispered, clutching her model. No, sweetheart, I said, hugging her tight, lying through my tears. That night, I tucked her into bed with a story about brave sea creatures fighting pollution. Then I sat at the kitchen table, staring into nothing, the weight of our future crushing me. The treatments began the following week. I took a leave from my job as an administrative assistant at a local firm. The pay wasn't much, but they held my position and continued my health insurance. Megan faced her first round of chemotherapy with courage. It's just medicine that makes you feel yucky before it makes you better, she told her stuffed dolphin. Within 2 weeks, her hair began to fall out. I bought colorful scarves and helped her decorate her head with temporary tattoos, which she proudly showed other children in the ward. Between hospital visits, I applied for every program I could find, launched a crowdfunding page, begged charities. Bills piled alongside past due rent and utilities. Then I heard Amanda's son had been accepted to Westfield Academy, annual tuition over $40,000. Emily was already enrolled there. They had claimed they couldn't help us, yet they could afford to send both kids to one of the state's most expensive schools. I called my parents again with Megan's prognosis. Mom cut me off. We've made our position clear. We don't have the resources. Perhaps you should consider more economical treatment options. Economical treatment options. As if I were shopping for a used car instead of fighting for my child's life. The truth came unexpectedly. Mrs. Peterson, my parents' longtime neighbor, stopped by the hospital with a casserole. Walter was just telling George about helping with a grandchildren's education, private school for Amanda's 2 kids. Can you imagine? Nearly $200,000 for their trust. My stomach turned cold. Did he mention anything about helping Megan? I asked. She looked confused. Well, no, dear. I assumed they were helping both grandchildren. They weren't. A discreet call to a contact at First National Bank confirmed it. My father had recently withdrawn $80,000, enough for both Jackson and Emily's tuition. They had money. They just decided Megan wasn't worth spending it on. The rage was white hot. I wanted to storm over and scream, but Megan needed me. So I sold everything I could, moved us to a smaller apartment, took freelance work from her hospital room. Every cent went to treatment. The hospital became our second home. I found unexpected family there. Lisa, whose son battled leukemia. Marcus, a single father with a teenage daughter fighting bone cancer. Sophia, whose 6-year-old twins carried matching tumors. We leaned on each other. We traded shifts so one of us could shower. We celebrated tiny victories together, grieved crushing setbacks. One evening, Sophia asked, "How do you stay so strong?" "I'm not," I admitted. "I fall apart whenever Megan can't see me." "That's exactly what makes you strong," Marcus said softly. These people understood me better than my own blood ever had. One afternoon, while Megan napped, I slipped into the hospital chapel. I wasn't religious, but it was quiet. Dr. Larson found me there. "I never pictured you as the praying type." "I'm not," I said, just thinking. He sat beside me. "They teach us to keep distance from patients. Don't get too attached. It's supposed to protect us, but it's complete bullshit." His uncharacteristic profanity startled a laugh from me. "Megan's special," he continued softly. I'm not supposed to say this, but you're not in this alone, Mrs. Bennett. Not completely. His kindness cracked the dam. Tears spilled over. He handed me a handkerchief. In my professional opinion, you're overdue for a good cry. For an hour, we talked not about tumors or bills, but about books, pizza, bad movies. For a moment, I wasn't just cancer mom. Back in Megan's room, she was awake with Tommy, Lisa's son. They compared hospital wristbands. We're starting a club, she said proudly. The Brave Kids Club. Only kids with cancer can join. But maybe Tommy's baby sister too, because she's brave bringing him here. I swallowed hard. That sounds perfect. What are the rules? She held up 3 fingers. 1. No crying when you get pokes. 2. Always share dessert. 3. No feeling sorry for yourself. Tommy nodded solemnly, and we're making badges. Their resilience humbled me. For a while, it seemed to work. 3 months into treatment, the tumor shrank. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. Megan decorated her scarves with colorful tattoos, telling younger patients, "We're ocean warriors. Sometimes the waves knock us down, but we always get back up." But 6 months in, symptoms returned. The tumor was growing faster. Dr. Larson's face was grim. "We need a more intensive approach. There's a center in Boston with success in cases like Megan's, but it's experimental. Insurance won't cover it. The out-of-pocket cost is $250,000. It might as well have been $1 billion. Desperate, I drove to my parents' house unannounced, waited 2 hours until they returned from shopping, their arms full of upscale bags. "We need to talk," I said firmly, "about Megan. There's a treatment in Boston. Please, I'll pay back every cent." "That's enough, Jennifer," Dad snapped. "Your financial problems are not our responsibility." "This isn't about money," I cried. "It's about Megan's life. Your granddaughter is dying," Mom hissed. "Lower your voice. The Hendersons will hear." "Why will you pay for Amanda's children's education but not Megan's treatment?" I demanded. Dad's face was stone. "Amanda made responsible choices. She respects our values," my voice broke. "And Megan deserves to die because I divorced Richard?" "Don't be dramatic," Mom said coldly. "These are just the consequences of life choices." I stared at them, realizing the truth. "You're not my family. You haven't been for a long time," and I left. Megan's condition worsened quickly. The hospital became our home. I slept in a chair beside her bed, afraid to leave even for a moment. One evening, as I read her favorite story, she whispered, "Mommy, am I going to die like the fish in the polluted ocean?" I set the book aside, my throat tightening. "Why do you ask, sweetheart?" I heard the doctors talking. They sounded sad. Children always sense more than we give them credit for. "Everyone dies eventually," I said carefully, "but the doctors are working so hard to make sure that doesn't happen for a very, very long time." Her eyes searched mine. "Are you scared?" "Yes," I admitted. "Sometimes I am." "Me too. But mostly I'm scared you'll be alone when I'm gone. Who will take care of you?" Tears blurred my vision as I held her fragile body close. "Don't worry about me, brave girl. I'll be okay. I promise." She died on a Thursday in early spring, while cherry blossoms danced outside her hospital window. One moment she was there, struggling to breathe, and the next she was gone, so quietly the alarm told me before my heart could. I didn't call my parents. A nurse must have. They arrived at the funeral home, dressed in black, faces arranged in socially acceptable grief. "We're so sorry to hear about Megan," my mother said gently. Her words cut deeper than silence. My father frowned when he heard my choice. The Crawfords have always been buried in the family plot. "Megan wasn't a Crawford," I said hollowly. "She was a Bennett, and she wanted her ashes scattered in the ocean she loved." "That's rather dramatic, don't you think?" Mom murmured. "They didn't come to the beach memorial I arranged, where Megan's ashes drifted with the waves she adored. Amanda sent flowers with a card signed by her family. Empty words for an irreplaceable life. 6 months later, their attorney sent an invitation to the annual Crawford Family Foundation dinner. Family matters will be discussed. My instinct was to tear it up, but curiosity gnawed. I went. The Riverside Country Club gleamed with understated wealth. Heads turned as I entered. My parents froze mid-conversation. Amanda and Bradley shifted nervously. Dinner dragged with polite chatter about weather and politics. Not a word about Megan. After dessert, my father stood. The Crawford Foundation is expanding, he announced with pride. A new scholarship, more support for Westfield Academy. Amanda's children will serve as ambassadors. I looked around at their board, wealthy friends nodding in approval. Not one of them had sat with Megan through chemotherapy. Not one had seen her decorate her bald head with tattoos to make others smile. Her Brave Kids Club rules echoed in my mind. No crying when you get pokes. Always share dessert. No self-pity. She had understood generosity better than anyone in this room. Dad raised his glass. To family, our greatest treasure and legacy. I stood abruptly. To family, I echoed, my voice cutting across the silence. What an interesting concept. Jennifer, this isn't the time, Mom hissed. When then? Another 6 months? A year? How long should I wait to ask why my daughter had to die while you paid for her cousin's private school? Gasps rippled across the room. You're making a scene, Dad growled. Am I? I'm sorry to embarrass you by mentioning my dead child at your fancy dinner. Megan was 8. She loved dolphins. She wanted to save the oceans. I begged for help, and you refused. Not because you couldn't, but because you didn't approve of me. Amanda burst into tears. A board member turned to my father. Is this true? Did you refuse your granddaughter's treatment? This is a private family matter, Dad barked. But it speaks to your values, the man pressed. The room erupted. Board members argued. Mom sat frozen. Amanda sobbed. And Dad's authority crumbled under their stares. I looked each of them in the eyes. You don't get to pretend you're generous. You let a child die because you were too cruel and self-righteous to help. That's your true legacy. The table exploded with voices. I walked out, leaving the Crawford name in ruins. Outside, the night was cool. I looked up at the stars Megan once pointed at through her bedroom window. I kept my promise, brave girl, I whispered. I'll be okay. The fallout came fast. Newspapers ran the story. Several board members resigned. My parents issued a polished statement about misunderstandings and pledged funds to cancer research. Too late for Megan, too late for forgiveness. Amanda called. I didn't realize how bad it was. I thought you exaggerated. I'm sorry. You should have asked. You should have been there. Can we fix this? She pleaded. No, some things can't be fixed. Later, their lawyer asked me to join a trust in Megan's name. I scrawled one word, no. Instead, I donated Megan's things to the ward where she'd fought so bravely, keeping only her dolphin, her ocean project, and a lock of hair. Then something unexpected happened. The story reached Catherine Miller, who had lost her son to the same cancer. I read about Megan, she told me. I want to start a foundation, and I want you to lead it. You know what families need. You're not afraid to speak truth to power. 6 months later, the Megan Bennett Memorial Foundation launched. We gave grants, arranged travel for families, and created a Brave Kids Club program with Megan's rules. Every child received a backpack with comfort items and colorful wristbands. Tommy's leukemia went into remission. Marcus's daughter returned to school. Sophia's twins fought on with new hope. A year later, I saw my parents in a hospital lobby, posing with a giant ceremonial check. Our eyes met. They looked away first. Amanda left Bradley, pulled her children from Westfield, and eventually volunteered at my foundation. She wasn't forgiven, but she was trying. On quiet nights, I visit the beach where Megan's ashes float with the dolphins she loved. I whisper to the waves, I'm keeping my promise. I'll be okay. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. The truth had been spoken. The table had exploded. From the wreckage, I was building a life that honored the brave little girl who loved me enough to worry about my future as her own slipped away. That was my revenge, not humiliating my parents, though that moment was powerful, but choosing to live well without them, to create meaning from loss, to ensure Megan's brief, beautiful life would always matter. In the end, living well is the best revenge.